Howdy, 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 my name is Anachi Sasuke. Welcome back to Let's Read the SCP Foundation Wiki. In the last episode, we read about the train, the ambassador, eyeball, lightbringer, and astronomically inclined crane. The train was uncomfortable, the ambassador was also uncomfortable, the eyeball was strange, but not that bad, lightbringer, don't know how I feel about that one, and the astronomically inclined crane was kinda nice. It didn't really seem to be implying the apocalypse, so it could have been worse. So we're going to be starting with Dr. Wondertainment's Wonder Cans, and I'm going to read it just like that. Jormungandr, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Aging Staircase, Procyon Stentor, and the Parrot Whale. So, it's Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. MTF Mu3 High Spitters is assigned to monitor children's toy stores, convenience stores, and toy distribution companies for instances of 721, which are to be confiscated upon discovery. Once confiscated, instances of 721 are to be tested using Disposable Dudes to determine whether they are 1, 2, or 3. Once identified, the instances to be contained in an appropriately labeled storage locker secured with standard digital, biological, and mimetic countermeasures. If any person asked to have access to 721 or is unable to provide proper non-counterfeited credentials for any reason, or their motive for testing seems to be illogical, they are to be provided with the false access code 90934. Under no circumstances is testing with 721 to be directly refused. SCP-721 collectively refers to three products developed and released by GOI-11 Dr. Wondertainment in 2017. Instances of 721 are marketed as Wonder Cans, trademarked. And all instances of 721 are metal cylinders 20 centimeters in height and 5 centimeters in diameter. Analysis of 721's entered components has so far been inconclusive, as all instances are filled with non-anomalous aerosol and will cease to function if disassembled. SCP-721 is activated by pressing a red button near the top of the cylinder. At this point, a varying amount of aerosol will be dispensed from the top of the cylinder. However, 721 will not activate if it is pressed using non-organic means, i.e. a robot arm, or by a non-sentient creature. The organism that does this is hereby referred to as subject. Item designation number 1. SCP-1 is marketed as Super Hyper Thought Reader Can and labeled as such. The instructions on the back of one instances indicate that its intended use is to hold top-secret conversations away from the prying eyes of the adults. The label is dark black with white font. When one is activated, the subject's conscious thoughts will be audible to those within a 60-meter radius of the subject. The thoughts will take the form of the subject's voice speaking into a listener's ear, and the thought's volume will depend on the intensity. Additionally, the subject will be able to hear the thoughts of others within this radius in the form of voices emanating from one. While the thoughts of most subjects are too disorganized and incoherent for others to interpret properly, with practice, subjects have been shown the ability to use 721 to transmit coherent thoughts to those within its active range. One can be used 20 times before the exhaustion of its aerosol supply. 2 is marketed as Amazing Thought Transfer Can and are labeled as such. The instructions on the back of one instances indicate that its intended use is to let kids make fantastic drawings even if they can't draw themselves. That's probably supposed to say 2 instances. When 2 is activated in a blank medium, let's see what that would be. It includes blank paper, audio tapes, video tapes, blank text files on computers, or open-ended media such as televisions and radios. It's placed within the 60-meter radius of the subject. The subject will gain control over the medium's content. Subjects are able to transfer any data they are capable of imagining to the medium, and is able to gain control over any data inscribed on the medium after the activation of 2. 2 is able to be used 7 times before the exhaustion of its aerosol supply. Subjects have been able to create high-detail pictures, realistic movies, and any type of audio possible, even if they weren't skilled with drawing and or post-production to begin with. Instances of 3 are not advertised and do not have their own labels. Instead, 3 carry the labels of 1 and 2. It is believed that 3 is the result of a malfunction in the manufacturing process of 1 and 2. When 3 is activated, the subject's body temperature will steadily increase by 3 degrees Celsius per second. This increase in temperature will continue even if the button at the top is depressed until the subject expires of pyrexia. During this period of time, subjects report intense migraines. Analysis of 3 after activation reveals that the aerosol at its center heats up to 300 degrees Celsius during activation, often resulting in an explosion of the cylinder. It is estimated that 3 can be used 11 times, but its explosion often prevents repeated use. The Foundation is currently in possession of 43 instances of 1, 26 instances of 2, and 155 instances of 3. The footnote says, known associate of Dr. Wondertainment, exact status unknown, a name yet to be confirmed. Nope, sorry. That is footnote 3. 2 is 98 of these were recovered from the warehouses of Marshall, Carter, and Dark. which is the 155. Okay, so let's show the addenda. So, recovered communications log, IRC archive. Where's the number 3 at? If it just goes straight to number 4, what? Oh, okay, there it is. Known associate of Dr. Wondertainment, and further information presently being reviewed by the O5 Council for release. I'll probably read this normal. Forward. The following private message log was recovered from the servers of the blank IRC network between users Great Grand Starman and Factory Entrails. Begin log. You wanted to see me? Yes. I need to redeem my favor. Talking about the black hole computer, or you said you have access to Dr. Wondertainment's machinery? Yeah, bro. You want some of it? No. Are you in a position to sabotage it? Yeah, man. Yeah, but man, the big dude's got me out of some shit before. I wouldn't want to fuck him over. May I remind you that if I hadn't intervened, you'd be in a sensory deprivation chamber right now. I think I could still pull my strings and bring back the case. Are you blackmailing me? Yes, I think so. Alright, man, fuck you. What do you want me to do? Further dialogue has been censored under Snek Sakatawa Initiative 453, Restriction of Knowledge of Anomalous Interior Process. For further information, consult your on-site discretion officer. Addendum 2. Incident 1. On July 16, 2017, 721 first appeared in numerous states in the stores in the state limits of Indiana, including Walmart, Toys R Us's, and Target's. It's unknown why this effect was confined to Indiana. Over 1 million instances of 721 are estimated to have manifested this way. Due to Foundation diversion efforts, only 433 instances were purchased by the public. There are 5 known instances of usage of 3 resulting in death that were made public shortly after 721's release, resulting in Indiana's local press giving attention to these deaths. Several civilians managed to successfully link these deaths to 3, and many created blog and social media posts accusing the manufacturer of 721, Dr. Wondertainment, of murder. Dr. Jared, an Indiana native, took notice of this activity, resulting in the Foundation's discovery and classification of 721. An official statement was released by Foundation front company Shell and Carey Pharmaceuticals, stating that these deaths were the result of an extremely rare condition termed ectofever migraines. Foundation connections in various press agencies were also used to reduce the coverage of the issue. Addendum 3, archived webpage. Internet document. The following document was recovered from the blog of Indiana stay-at-home mother blankety blank. Page was entitled 15 Extremely Odd Diseases and contained a reference to 3. Blog was taken down by Foundation personnel masquerading as enforcement for illegal stock image usage. Number 13, ectofever migraines. If you thought a regular migraine was bad, boy oh boy, you haven't had an ectofever migraine. Ectofever migraines seem to be regular migraines at first, but when combined with a fever can easily cause you to die from a heat stroke. Some people originally thought that this was a side effect of Dr. Wondertainment's Wonder Cans, simple products that let people read others' minds. However, scientists from all over the world are saying that this is definitely not because of migraines. Whether this is just covering up the horrible truth or not cannot be said. Addendum 4. Description of SCP-721-4. 4 refers to humanoids that will manifest in locations holding instances of 3. Instances of 4 are sentient and sapient, and when asked, refer to themselves as Dr. Wondertainment Radical Recall Directors. 4 instances generally decorate themselves with a full-body purple cloak. The goal of 4 is the collection of all instances of 3 within the area in which they are manifested, which they accomplish by storing 3 instances in their robes. It's unknown how 4 manages to differentiate between 3 and 1 and 2. Once they have collected all instances of 3, or if they are incapacitated, they will vanish. Due to the Foundation's containment of 721, 4 have been attempting to gain access to their secure storage lockers. They attempt to accomplish this by masquerading as a Foundation researcher attempting to gain testing access to 721. If refused, 4 will often attempt to force their way into the lockers, which in the past has incurred heavy damage to not only the lockers, but the surrounding facility. The current special containment procedures accommodate for this by providing an access code that directly paralyzes 4 with Class X cognito hazards. 4 interaction log. Begin. Excuse me, madam. Dr. Clemson. Hello, I don't think I've met you before. You are, I'm Dr. Weld. John. Yes, John is my name, and so I need a wee bit of help here. Nice to meet you, Dr. John. What do you need? I was ordered by, the O5 to go and do some, good old-fashioned testing on the Wonder Cans, and yes, you're on the project. Could I have the access codes? Dr. Clemson pauses. What's your FID number? It's just, it's right here. It's 508909. Aren't the first 4 digits of the FID number supposed to add up to the last 2 digits? Oh, no, wait, that's not my ID number. I, left my glasses at my, house that I live in, so I can't read my ID number. Can I have your badge? Of course! Hands Dr. Closer their ID badge. Judging from recovered camera footage, the badge is a crude forgery. Why are we testing 721 again? Well, that's pretty obvious, and it's all because... So, if you think about it, we haven't really tried freezing the Wonder Cans yet. Yeah, we need to freeze them to see what happens. Pause. Yes, yep, makes sense. Code is 90934. Knock yourself out! Oh, thank you kindly, madam! Runs off frame. Closing statement. Later security footage shows 4 attempting to entry to 721's containment locker only to be subdued before vanishing. Document 5, or 721-5. Recovered document. The following document is left by 4 in place of 3 after it takes the cylinder. Text on the document is green overlaid with on a purple background and is identical for all documents. To whom it may concern, one of my radical recall directors has taken one of my defective Dr. Wondertainment Wonder Cans trademark for safety concerns. If you or a loved one have been affected by one of my Wonder Cans trademark, I apologize. I personally make every product, and I put the utmost amount of love and care into each one. I try to mint out my mistakes. Unfortunately, I'm only human, and some may slip through. Again, I apologize. This card will act as 20 Wondertainment dollars trademark to be used at any Dr. Wondertainment location. Sorry, Dr. Wondertainment PhD. In some cases, these cards are stained by a watery substance. Chemical analysis have revealed this substance to be tears. So apparently, the possibility that something he wanted to make is actually hurting people has made him cry as he writes these notes. Aw. It's so nice that he cares. Now it's time for Yorubangander. No idea if I'm saying that right. Google, help me understand if I'm saying that right. Well? I was hoping to be told how to pronounce it, but instead I got Norse mythology and also at least one God of War spoiler because I've not played that yet. So I guess let's just go check out the world. That wasn't me imitating a snake, that was me seeing that it's keter and not being prepared for it. Let me drink some water first. Also, sorry for the various fan noises you're hearing. It was cold all week until today, so I had to turn my fan back on. So, due to the unique nature of SCP-722, effectiveness of containment measures are as of yet untried. Containment measures are currently focused on maintaining the current state of 722 until a more permanent solution can be found. Brainwave activity, heart rate, and internal temperature of the artifact are to be monitored at all times, as well as any variances in the integrity and volume of the glacial range within which 722 currently resides, particularly Swak. 8 access points exist in various points in the glacier, each sealed by an airlock with sound dampeners lining the glacial interior. At 4-hour intervals, nitrogen gas chilled to a near liquid state is to be pumped into the room to lower the internal temperature as much as possible. Access into 722's chamber is to be permitted only in the event of emergency maintenance, which should be performed by a team of Class D personnel with a security detail of at least 2 clearance level 3 agents. Anyone gaining entry into 722's chambers to be outfitted with a suit of high-extremity polar wear and a set of night vision goggles, as the interior chamber is unlit. Security personnel should be outfitted with a silenced flechette pistol and take extreme caution in the event of its use. Should any personnel involved in a maintenance operation attempt to compromise the artifact in any way, they shall be terminated with extreme prejudice regardless of security clearance. Security personnel are required to report their status at 10-minute intervals. In the event of a lapse in reports, the interior chambers will be flooded with nitrogen gas until no life forms are detected. All agents entering 722's enclosure are advised not to make any attempt to touch the artifact, as it is known to be extremely volatile. The far extremities of 722 are to be avoided at all costs. In the event of contact with the artifact, agents are advised to immediately exit the enclosure and report to the base medic for detox. Description: SCP-722 was found in the eastern glacial ranges of Greenland by Greenpeace activists making a documentary on the effects of global warming. Upon descending into a crevice that had opened up on the southern end of the glacier, they discovered a network of tunnels within the glacier which had long since been smoothed out, eventually reaching a series of larger chambers which seemed to host a tremendous serpentine body. After another hour of exploration, the team left the glacier and headed to the nearby town of Blank. Within hours, most of the team felt the symptoms of a wide array of sicknesses, resembling everything from swollen lymph nodes to fast necrosis of the skin. By nightfall, the entire team was dead. An SCP operative on leave caught wind of the story and sent notification to High Command. SCP-722 is by all accounts a terrestrial serpent of incredible size, length, and girth, coiled around a series of tunnels of unknown origin. Most of the tunnels in 722's enclosure are completely smooth, though a few patches, specifically on the paths nearest to the head and tail of the artifact, are marked with some form of ancient Nordic script. All attempts to translate the script have ended in failure, and the dialogue appears to predate the settlement of the island by Eric the Red at the turn of the 11th century. No historical records exist of any previous settlement in Greenland, so the source of the script is currently a mystery. SCP-722 is clearly in a state of prolonged slumber, and many parts of the creature's body have become embedded in the glacier, possibly due to cave-ins or parts of the ice reforming over many years. While this would normally warrant a Euclid ranking, 722's immense size, currently estimated at between 8 and 12 kilometers, could pose a threat to nearby cities or the world at large in the event of an awakening. Additionally, the artifact poses formidable defensive abilities. See attached document 722A. And that document is Unidentified Toxin 722. SCP-722's skin seems to secrete a potent toxin which has currently eluded all attempts at identification. Symptoms seem largely random on a case-by-case basis, but the end result is invariably death. All attempts at synthesizing an antidote to date have failed. Harvesting the poison for sampling procedures or weaponization has also proved unsuccessful. The poison seems to deteriorate rapidly after leaving its host and is all but useless by the time it reaches our labs. Retrieval has also proven to be invariably fatal, no matter what configuration of hazardous materials handling we have implemented. Given the loss of manpower and the extreme difficulty in obtaining more personnel given the range of this outpost, we recommend discontinuing any further testing. Document B. Defensive capabilities. Doctors blank, blank, and blank, Dr. blank, 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 and Agent blank, 3103589, have all contributed the opinion that Artifact 722's poison is not defensive in nature, but intended to be used as a weapon. This theory has begun to circulate based on report data expunged regarding the incident on data expunged. Given the misting of the poison in the northernmost edges of the glacier, and posthumous examinations of the affected, it would appear that the artifact breathes the poison in a slightly less potent but still invariably fatal form. While poison as a weapon is not representative of reptiles and terrestrial nature, it has been noted at the request of our research team. Document 722C Memo. Moratorium on expeditions into the glacier. All forays into the glacier are forbidden effective immediately, excepting the case of emergency maintenance. Since the incident on data expunged, 722 has seen a 0.9% increase in brain activity. Any unauthorized personnel attempting access into the glacier's interior are to be terminated without question, regardless of security clearance. Agents and non-essential personnel alike have been reckless in their handling of the artifact. I will take this opportunity to remind you that we are dealing with a matter of worldwide importance, as this is a keter level SCP. If Site 1-3 is to remain in operation, then we must maintain our vigilance of standard security protocols. My predecessor was removed from his position for a reason. Follow in his footsteps and you will find yourselves in the same shoes as him. Brigadier General blank blank. Document D Memo. Proposed explanation for toxin. Dr. Blank has hypothesized that there may be a phylogenetic relationship between 722 and other large reptiles, specifically positing it as a limbless or glass lizard within or close to the Varanus genus, including Varanus komodoensis, or the Komodo dragon, and citing its immense size and use of a necrotic agent produced from its mouth as a predatory weapon. It is further proposed that a team be sent to acquire samples of live tissue for genetic testing and, if possible, further toxin samples to look for bacteriological activity or residue. So yeah, it's a good thing that I accidentally found out that it's the world snake from Norse mythology, because the entry itself wasn't going to tell me that. So let's just open that one more time. I don't remember if it was actually called the world snake. Yeah, it's in Norse mythology, also known as the Midgard world serpent, is a sea serpent, the middle child of the giantess That and Loki. So yeah, not only is it the world snake, looks like God of War did a really good job of portraying it. Interesting. I'm gonna have to play that someday. Next up is the aging staircase. which I can only assume is a staircase that ages you as you climb it, but it could be the staircase itself was aging, which is why it says safe. Otherwise, it would probably be Euclid. Due to the immovable nature of 723, a containment area designated Site 288 is to be constructed surrounding the immediate area to prevent potential civilian casualties or exposing the site's properties. That kind of makes me feel more secure in my idea that it ages people as they climb it, but safe because it's stairs. Containment consists of a standard 3 meter, 10 foot approximately chain link fencing with access restriction signage surrounding the site's exterior. I don't know why I'm having such an issue saying words the right way right now. A further restriction zone of 2 meters is to be constructed around the entrance to 723, secured with magnetic locks. The site is to be secured by 3 guards in standard blank security company cover uniforms without visible armament to avoid suspicion. Access restrictions are to be made based on the claim of the site's fragility and historical importance. Access to disposable dudes for further experimentation is to be approved by level 4 staff for hire. Under no circumstances is 723 to be ascended by SCP Foundation staff, and personnel are requested to stay clear of the interior restriction zone to avoid becoming subject to its effects. Alright, so 723 is a spiral stone staircase hewn from an ordinary limestone, contained within a ruined church located in sparsely populated blank England. That is a long name for a place in England. England! The stairs scale the interior of a ruined tower on the structure's eastern side. Each stair is approximately 2.5 feet wide, ascending in a clockwise direction at a 42-degree incline. From the exterior, the site appears to be in a state of disrepair, including the tower which 723 ascends. However, this damage is not visible from the interior of the tower, though the staircase is still visibly worn. It also appears to extend further upward than the exterior architecture suggests. The site was brought to the Foundation's attention in 2000-something, after the unexplained disappearances of several local youths. When ascended, 723 induces rapid aging in the case of living subject and decay in the case of non-living materials. This effect seems to initiate after the 4th or 5th step has been climbed, and each subsequent step inducing further aging or decay respectively. Subjects ascending the stairs have not indicated any feels of pain or discomfort and seem untroubled by their rapid transformation, with the exclusion of experiment A9. I called it though, didn't I? Once an ascent has begun, subjects have no inclination of returning to the base of 723. Although it is yet to be determined conclusively whether this is a compulsion is caused by 723's effect, or a result of physical changes in the brain, the former is considered more probable. Stairs and church are characteristic of the pre-Romanesque architectural style. Historical research indicates that the building containing 723 was indeed a functioning church dating from at least the 9th century, if not earlier. However, recent archaeological investigations suggest that Roman architecture existed on the site predating the construction of the church. The site has undergone several major repairs since its construction, but is believed to have fallen into disuse sometime during the 11th century. Although no specific records exist, local folklore suggests the building was abandoned during this time, coinciding with a series of suspicious deaths, and distrust of the church remains with the local population. This same folklore references a sacred stair, which is believed to be a reference to 723. It is not known whether 723 gained its properties at this time, or whether they existed prior to the event. Due to the spiral nature of 723, direct observation of anything past a single story is impossible. Electronic equipment such as video and sound recorders or GPS locators have been shown to undergo a similar aging process to subjects, and transmitted signals typically fail after a single story has been scaled, making further observations problematic. This has been somewhat circumvented by use of cables directly linking observers to the subject, allowing video contact to remain until the 2nd story and audio until the 4th. A series of experiments were conducted commencing in 2000-something to determine the nature and extent of it. And A1. Equipment: a handheld camcorder with an 8-hour battery life and an audio transceiver. Results: the subject was instructed to remain in verbal contact with the overseers throughout the test via their transceiver and descended the stairs as normal. The subject's expression underwent visible change as they crossed the 4th step, paused, and then continued to climb after prompting the test from the test overseers. Signal from the audio transceiver ceased approximately 20 seconds after visual contact was lost. Subject did not respond to further prompts, both via the transceiver and vocally. Video recordings were unable to be recovered. It was Disposable Dude. Standard recording material methods are ineffectual. Recommended that alternatives be explored in future experiments. And here's A4. Is A9 going to be in here? A9 better be in here. Here we have Disposable Dude number 4 for this test. Handheld camcorder and audio transceiver both connected to monitors at the staircase base via standard plastic-coated copper cable. Result: they agreed to ascend the stairs after being forcibly restrained by security. Subject was then instructed similarly to the previous experiment with the addition of trailing the cable behind them as they climbed. After crossing the 5th step, they sharply inhaled but continued forward. Video and audio signal was maintained once visual contact had been lost, but began to rapidly deteriorate. Subject was asked to report any visual or audible anomalies, to which they responded that they were feeling fine. When asked to elaborate, the subject mumbled indecipherably. At this, the subject raised their hands to examine them in front of the video feed, which now appears visibly more calloused. The video feed is lost soon after, but audio feed remains for 8 more minutes. The subject begins to breathe heavily into the microphone as audio signal gradually degrades. They are directed to stop climbing, but don't respond. Shortly before audio signal is lost, the subject again mumbles something indecipherable, but it is believed they had said daughter or slaughter. Reeling in the copper cable revealed significant degradation in the metal and plastic, progressively more advanced toward the subject's end. The cable was no longer attached to the recording devices. Notes: 723 appears to degrade both biological and non-living matter. Subjects also appear to be either unwilling or unable to respond to overseer requests. Recommended that methods to recover subjects and equipment be enacted in future experiments. It is also notable that the remains of the previous subjects were not observed or described at any point during the ascent. Disposable 7. Handheld camcorder audio receiver both connected to monitors at the staircase via standard plastic-coated copper cable, titanium blank alloy cable attached to both subject and recording equipment. Results: they were instructed as the previous test and began climbing. With caution, again pausing briefly as the 4th step was crossed. They proved more responsive than previous test subjects, describing the air inside the staircase as cold, really cold, and that the stairs were covered with dust, thick grainy stuff. The subject also stated they were sorry and began crying shortly after. Due to the lack of video feed by this point, subject was encouraged to continue the climb and to describe anything that they saw. After approximately 12 minutes, subject began speaking rapidly into the microphone, but the signal was much too degraded to decipher words. With the prospect of a potential discovery and the fact that the cables remained taut until this point, the decision was made to retract the cables and recover the subject. After no strong resistance was met, and after 5 minutes, subject was pulled to the entrance. Although still alive at this point, the subject's physical appearance was significantly altered. Muscle mass had diminished greatly, hair had thinned, and skin was extremely dry and discolored. Although it had become loose and wrinkled in some areas, in other areas it was extremely taut, most notably on the face, atypical of normal human aging. The subject was not observed to blink during the 4-minute period before dying, and was in a state of extreme distress. Though most of what was said during this time is unintelligible, the subject refers at one point to what is possibly door, or the door, and refers several times to dark, mark, or F. Several broken and fractured bones were determined post-mortem, believed to be a result of the subject's forced extraction. Although the subject did not complain of pain during the climb, bones were shown to have been leached of minerals, joints had calcified into severe arthritis, tumorous growths were found behind the subject's right eyeball, and in the prostate, and several ulcers were found in the stomach lining. Notes: the statements made by the subject may suggest that 723 may terminate shortly after the 4th floor. The fact that lucidity also remains suggests that there may be limitations to the compulsions caused by 723s, if they are present at all. And lo and behold, there is not. Experiment 9. And it did say A9, right? Untroubled by rapid transformation with the exclusion of experiment 723 A9, which is not here! Why even say that? Why even say that if it's just gonna go 147 stop? Seriously, whoever wrote this, fuck you. Moving on. So that brings us to the Procyon Stentor, which is safe, and it's S724 ABF and blank. Due to its immobility, 724 is located in the central vault of Site-54. That doesn't look like it's inside of a vault. This vault is surrounded by a set of hinged shielding plates that can be closed to block radio signals from reaching 724 and suppress the anomaly. One specimens can be kept in standard-sized cages, although any that are currently being monitored should be separated from each other by at least moderate soundproofing. Individuals not being monitored are kept in kennel sections with Faraday shielding. Transport of one specimens must not use unshielded cages except by written permission of researcher Site-54 maintains the outward appearance of a corporate office/research facility in the name of Foundation Front Company S something C something P something Inc. The lobby is to be staffed by Foundation security personnel posing as civilian receptionists and security guards. I would also like to point out how cheeky that is for that to be the name of their front company. Like, seriously. Seriously. I don't even think you tried. Anyway, SCP-724 is an anomaly covering approximately 8 meters in diameter located near the intersection of Interstate blank and Route blank and blank blank. It occurs only when all of the surrounding radio towers, as the A through blank, are broadcasting actively and when the signals from these towers are able to reach the anomaly's location without significant interference. While 724 is active, any individual of the species Procyon lotor, North American raccoon, that passes through the anomaly is permanently altered by unknown means. Altered subjects, collectively designated 1, begin to frequently produce abnormal vocalizations, including human voices, music static modulation/demodulation signals, and data expunged. Subjects do not appear to understand or control the content of these vocalizations, simply acting as passive receivers. The volume and clarity of vocalizations increases with proximity to the active 724 anomaly. No anatomical or chemical alterations have been identified in 724-1 compared to unaltered specimens. These vocalizations have been found to correspond with radio transmissions from sources other than the towers surrounding 724. Transmissions captured by 724 have been confirmed to originate from numerous locations throughout the northern hemisphere and occur throughout the RF spectrum. A log of identified transmission sources can be found in document 724 blank, which is not here. Each subject seems to have a distinct remote receiver at a fixed location, frequency, and protocol. The location and tuning of each individual's receiver appears to depend upon the incident signals triggering the anomaly at the time the subject is altered, based on factors such as amplitude and frequency. Addendum 1. 724 is believed to have first occurred in 19-something, when SCP-724 blank, the most recently constructed tower, began broadcasting. Reports of talking raccoons in the area prompted Foundation investigation, and the anomaly was located using several affected subjects. Efforts to capture all Wild 724-1 are ongoing. The relationship between the surrounding radio towers was discovered when 724-C was taken offline for maintenance, and the anomaly subsequently ceased activity during the maintenance period. After extensive discussion, it was decided to allow the towers producing 724 to continue transmitting. Addendum 2. Research is ongoing to identify the relevant factors in the generation of 724 anomaly so that no further anomalies are accidentally created. A better understanding of the effects of the various contributing factors could also have significant practical utility in surveillance and communications applications. Addendum 3. As an experiment, several 1 were allowed to mate with affected and unaffected specimens to determine 724's effects, if any, on subsequent generations. Of the resultant offspring, 100% have thus far been 724-1 themselves. Second generation offspring of mixed heritage parents have been affected approximately 70% of the time. Offspring of parents whose receiver locations and or tunings are known generally appear to have their own receiver located and tuned somewhere between those of their parents. Dr. M has requested permission to begin a selective breeding program. Request currently under review. And that brings us to the parrot whale. Also, I wonder if this means anything. It does not mean anything, it just goes straight to the SCP wiki. Okay. Okay, parrot whale. Is a parrot whale an actual thing? Or is something else going on here? Subject is to be... Well, it's Euclid. Subject is to be confined to a small coastal inlet adjacent to Sector 7. 725 shows all biological requirements of its wild analogs and is to be fed and its enclosure maintained according to on-site biologists. Because of the subject's excitable nature, all watercraft are prohibited from operating within a 20-kilometer radius of the enclosure, except as a measure to deter other marine mammals from lingering in the vicinity. Audio recordings to be played on the hydrophone in the subject's enclosure according to the current project director. Description. Subject is a 13.7 meter long, 34,800 kilogram female cetacean with gross anatomical similarities to Megaptera novaingle, or the humpback whale. It was recovered after causing maritime disruptions in the blank bay. Physically, the animal is similar to other humpback whales. Small anatomical differences may indicate it is a subspecies of that organism or data expunged. Initial hypothesis of increased intelligence or self-awareness proved false. 725 has demonstrated no mental capabilities beyond standard aptitudes of its parent species. What it does have are remarkable abilities of audio retention and mimicry. In effect, it remembers precisely every sound it hears and is able to repeat them at will. This includes unnatural sounds like high-frequency vibrations, which other whales cannot duplicate. In captivity, the subject exhibits a compulsive need to seek out and repeat new sounds. This may be adaptive mimicry, a reproductive strategy, or data expunged. Once Foundation personnel began playing audio recordings regularly in the enclosure, these behaviors subsided. The subject exhibits preferences for some sounds which it will repeat for weeks, months, or longer, while others it will simply ignore. If recordings are repeated or withheld, the subject may become agitated and attempt to break containment. This compulsion is theorized to be responsible for the subject's aggressiveness in the wild, as it often repeats the noises of a ship breaking up or its crew's cries for help, but seems physically unable to derive nourishment from attacks on humans. Capture Summary 725. A rash of unexplained maritime disappearances triggered the preliminary investigation. Local authorities responded to alleged attacks on watercraft, research and communication buoys, and eventually people at sea. These culminated in an attack on the U.S. Navy submarine Blank, which resulted in superficial and structural damage, but no loss of life. A further 23 incidents and 19 individuals lost at sea may be attributable to the subject. In the same time period, fishermen had been reporting odd noises echoing across the ocean in the early morning, suggestive of crashing waves even during calm conditions, crushing and grinding like ships colliding, mournful wails, or disembodied cries for help. In all cases, the noises were clear and could be heard for miles, but no source was observed. The reports have since been definitively linked to 725 and possibly other wild individuals. Dr. Blank did a preliminary on-site examination of the reports and the organism before classifying it as SCP-725 and remanding it to Foundation custody. Addendum 725-1. In a few instances, 725 has been observed to cease motion and produce a sound reminiscent of other whale songs. Due to water conditions at these times, the noise can be detected up to blank 1,000 kilometers away. On blank occasions, answering songs have been recorded from an indeterminate source. Analysis of the songs indicates separate individuals and apparent blank would have failed to shed light on their purpose or meaning. Addendum Incident 725-3. At blank hours, blank, a pod of right whales passed near the containment enclosure. Upon reaching a point 34 kilometers away, they suddenly altered course and began heading directly for it. Boats were dispatched to halt their advancement using acoustic deterrents, which were ignored. The whales then dove to the bottom of the ocean, resurfacing at the seawall and breaching themselves forcefully. The animals continued thrashing violently, inflicting deep wounds on themselves until they expired, data expunged. Analysis of acoustic recordings revealed that 725 was emitting a subsonic signal for the duration of the incident. Okay. I thought it was going to be some kind of whale that was also a parrot, but I guess it's actually just a whale that does the parrot mimicry thing. In any case, that does it for this episode of Let's Read the SCP Foundation Wiki. In the next one, we're going to be doing Reconstructive Maggots, Hephaestus' Forge, the Forever Room, the Marble Bath, and Decerebrating Plague. So, if you liked it, a like and subscribe would be groovy. If you didn't, you'll need to do either one of those things, and I will see y'all in the next one. Later.